What's up, Rapids fans? And on this week's edition of The Rundown presented by Dick's Sporting Goods, the Rapids dropped the ball in Dallas, but now welcome Minnesota to Mile High. And then off the pitch, we have defender Andreas Maxsø. Let's get into it. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Colorado Rapids podcast, and this week's edition of The Rundown presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. I'm your host, Mike Ravolo, alongside my good friend and resident Rapids legend, Drew Moore. Drewby, how are we doing this Monday morning, man?
I'm doing well.
Yeah?
I'm doing well. Yeah, got a lot of time at home this weekend with both teams, the first team and second team on the road, and I wasn't traveling. And I have to tell you something funny, actually. Our older boy, Joey, right? Yeah. On Saturday morning, he woke up and did what everybody, like all adults want to do. He was basically like, I'm going to sit in bed all day and just watch TV and eat snacks.
Class.
But I'm not joking you. He literally did that. He left the room maybe twice to go downstairs and get food and then go straight back upstairs and watch TV. And we let him do it. The entire day.
I'm sure honestly he was thrilled. That sounds like a perfect Saturday morning, to be honest with you.
My wife and I looked at each other. We were just like, okay, if that's what you want. Now, our other kid, Ryan, we were all over the neighborhood. He wanted to ride bikes and rollerblade and play hockey and stuff. But yeah, so I got a lot of good family time this weekend. What about you? Are we still on the coffee kick?
Coffee grind, dude.
The coffee train.
We're very much on it. We're fully on it, and we're along for the ride wherever it takes us. So it's been great. It's been a nice change of pace to be on coffee as opposed to just like water or whatever I'm having for breakfast.
Water.
Listen, you need to hydrate, especially at this altitude, bro. Like I dehydrate very quickly. I'm not very good about it.
There's a lot of water in coffee. All right.
Yeah, fair enough. So,
yeah.
On the coffee grind, and
nice.
like you, I didn't travel this weekend to Dallas, so it was kind of nice. Got to take a beat.
Grind, he says. Passed right over that one.
Yeah. And this weekend was nice. It was just chilling, because it's difficult sometimes when you have to travel. It takes time away from the weekend or just recover and all that. So it was nice to just take a beat. But of course, we're in that part of the season where once we get into it, we get into it, dude. It's full grind. So any opportunity to rest is like I'm doing what your boy Joey did. Like I'm just doing nothing for a good while, just laying there, like just relaxing and resting and taking advantage of that time. So
he woke up on Saturday morning. And then on Sunday morning, wearing the exact same thing that he had woken up. I'm telling you, he committed to the bit and knocked it out of the park.
What a life!
I was so proud of him,
Joey. I'm so proud. All right, what a life, man, Joey. That's great, man. I'm glad to hear that your dad, Drew, our resident Rapids legend, he let you do that. That's great because that sounds a very lovely Saturday morning. Yeah. Drewby, we have some business to tend to in terms of looking back at what the match was on the weekend. The Rapids going to Dallas. So I'd say let's just get straight into it now. This is the second matchup that we had between the two sides, between FC Dallas and the Colorado Rapids, this time in Frisco, Texas, in Toyota Stadium. And, of course, that was a 3-3 draw, which was the home opener for the Rapids here much, much earlier in the season. And so looking for 3 points, but we'll see how that played out, Drew. But Dallas would get things started with a Petar Musa goal.
Yeah, that Farrington-Musa combination, which was a handful all night, gets them on the board early. And it's a fantastic cross from Farrington, it is. And Musa just sneaks in between Holding and Rafa Santos there. And the quality from Musa is shown. He's always going to score that one. So a tough start for the Rapids.
But they would respond, Drew. So you can see Ali Larraz winning the ball in midfield here. Rafa Santos putting in a dangerous cross, as he likes to do. While nothing comes of that directly, Calvin Harris gets the second ball and scores.
Great play from Calvin Harris. And Rafa Santos, he forces the coincidence by putting Dallas in a difficult situation on this cross. The pace, they're running back towards their own goal. Can't clear their lines, and Calvin Harris, does the rest. It was a fantastic response, and Calvin showing his quality, just popping up in the right spot, and a bit of calmness to cut it back between his defender's legs and in the goal.
Then moving ahead here, Drew, Dallas with the set piece corner kick here. Rapids able to clear it first time around. Dallas would have another go at it, putting in this cross here, and it's Christian Capis who's at the end of it, Drew.
And it's second phase from a set piece, and it comes from a cross, and we don't clear our lines here, and you have to lock in on your guys in second phase until the ball is completely cleared, and Capis does a good job of just staying on side and getting a touch to this ball to redirect it. It's from point blank. Not much, Zach can do about it to keep it out, unfortunately.
And then finally moving ahead into the 80th minute, Drew, Dallas, they were kind of pressing the issue here in this moment. That's a good ball over, put a cross in, force a coincidence, as you mentioned,
Exactly.
Maxsø with the own goal there.
Exactly, and that's the only look we're going to get of that one. But, Dallas forced the coincidence, much like Rafa Santos' cross on the Rapids goal. When you get center backs and defenders running back towards their own goal, it's difficult. And Maxsø, it's a terrible situation to be in. Unfortunately, just hits off of him and goes in. But just kind of ended what was a difficult night for the Rapids.
It was. That was a 3-1 loss for the Rapids. So there was, like I mentioned before, a 3-3 draw to start the season, a home opener rather, for against Dallas, and then a 3-1 loss here in Frisco, Texas. Looking at the match stats, Drew, between the two sides, the FC Dallas, they had 17 shots on the night versus Rapids 9. Shots on goal, 7 for Dallas, 3 for the Rapids. 9 corners for Dallas versus the 10 for the Rapids. And then possession, 47.9% for FC Dallas and 52.1% for the Colorado Rapids. Just straight into it, Drew, your thoughts on the match between FC Dallas and the Colorado Rapids?
Yeah, I thought, Dallas came with a lot more energy and on the front foot than I actually kind of anticipated. And to be fair, after, our podcast last week when we talked about Dallas, during some of the video sessions, Chris Armas said, Dallas, especially early in the match, they're going to come with a lot of energy and on the front foot. And they did exactly that. And, I think put the Rapids in some tough situations, obviously get the early goal and then score kind of late in the first half. And Dallas are an interesting team. They don't, ever since, Lucho Acosta moved on in the summer, other than Petar Musa, they don't have that superstar like who's gonna really stand out for them. They're a hardworking team that are opportunistic, but really kind of play with their head coach's Eric Quill's mentality. I feel like, which is a little bit underappreciated and maybe kind of a chip on their shoulder type team that it's the unit that does extremely well. And I thought that the energy that they put into it, the Rapids just didn't quite deal with it. And it was a very good match. Again, another match that felt like a playoff game, right? Because both teams really, really went after it. No longer I feel like our playoff type games, the kind of games where, they're defensive struggles where nobody really wants to make a mistake, and teams are going for it. And I like to see that. And I'm okay with that, from the Rapids perspective, because they're a team that likes to go for it all the time anyway. But, I just think on the night, Dallas showed a little bit more quality. Probably started the match a little bit better and probably deserved all 3 points. And it's something that the Rapids, need to, kind of take stock in and make sure that they're starting the match on the right foot. Because had they gone in maybe with a little bit more energy early in that match, it might have been a different result. But it was ultimately a difficult night for the Rapids.
Yeah, we talked about it going into that match, Drew, that I think this team would change a little bit with Lucho Acosta leaving the picture, which for me personally, I feel like they've benefited from, which is so strange to say when you have someone like Lucho Acosta,
Right.
an MLS MVP from a couple of years back, if memory serves, that we're talking about a very, very good player. But if anything, for me to say that they're a better team kind of without him, I think it just goes, it ties in a little bit more into like the identity that you're speaking of Eric Quill, in terms of like the personnel and the players that they have in that team right now. They're all going to work. They're all going to fight. You know that you're going to get an honest work rate from everybody, including Petar Musa. He's a guy as talented as he is. He also works very hard. So I feel like they kind of benefit from where we talked about the shape that we expected them to have in terms of doing a 3-5-2, where you have your two forwards who are occupying Rob Holding, Andreas Maxsø, and we're causing lots of problems. Defensively, very sound, clogging up the midfield. It felt like they did what they had to do and took advantage of some of the moments when they presented themselves to go on goal, and that's where they find themselves on the right end of the result, and getting to do so at home. We talked about how Dallas is a difficult place to play, and they showed it between their formation, between their personnel, between just what it means to go to a place like Dallas as well. And the Rapids were just not on it, I think, on the night. It just felt like one of those nights where just things were not exactly clicking, and things weren't as fluid as you would like and expect from a group from this Rapids side.
I think you bring up a very good point, Mike, in the identity thing. Like, this is the time of year where tactics are still important. Tactics are always going to be important, right? But just getting the job done and playing with your identity, which the Rapids have an identity, and I love their identity. And they're going to work hard defensively. They're going to make things difficult. They're going to be on the front foot, and they're going to try to hurt you in transition as much as possible. And that's going to be important here. It has been the last couple of weeks. It's going to continue to be important where, games every point is so precious and so valuable right now. And of course, once you get into the playoffs, every play is going to be so precious and important. And yes, tactics are still important, but that identity and just, forcing coincidences and making things happen and doing what you have to do is going to be extremely important here moving forward. And that's a positive sign, for the Rapids, because they are a team that can force coincidences and that can do what they do extremely well. And when they do, they become a very, very good team. And they're going to have to, they didn't do it in Dallas as much as I would have liked to have seen. I thought Dallas did it more. They used their identity a little bit more, but the Rapids are going to have to here in these final 3 regular season matches if they want to, not just make the playoffs, but go on a good run into the playoffs.
For sure. There's another thing here, Drew, that it's not ideal, but it's kind of acknowledging what it is in terms of something that has kind of hindered the Rapids a little bit in terms of keeping clean sheets, right? So that's as after the match on Saturday, it's 0 shutouts in the last 8 MLS matches, Drew. So I'm going to ask you to put your center back / defender, just in general, cap on here in terms of what do you kind of attribute that to? Like, where do you see that maybe there's certain deficiencies with the Rapids in terms of trying to maintain a clean sheet, and how much of a difference does it make when you can walk out of a match with a clean sheet, whether you draw, let alone get the full 3 points, get a win?
Well, defenders and goalkeepers, they always want to get clean sheets. For me, it's not one thing. But if I could point to one thing, it would be just the details, just the nitty gritty. A lot of goals conceded on crosses. And crosses are very difficult to deal with, right? But it's getting the right side of your man. It's can we get closer to the crosser to either block it or to make it a little bit more difficult, make him have to change his angle of service, right? It's getting bodies on guys. You see Petar Musa just kind of, sneaks in between Rob Holding and Hafiz Santos and nobody gets a body on him or gives him a bump. It's moving your feet. It's communication. It's desperate defending at times. Even the second goal, it's locking up on your guy in a second phase. Set piece, comes from across. It's the little details that you can go out and practice it and rep it, but it's when you get in the game, can you just stay just far enough ahead of the play and do just a little bit more to defend your penalty area and to say you're not scoring this time. You're not coming down the field, crossing the ball and putting the ball in the back of my net. I'm not going to let it happen. And it's very easy for me to sit here on a couch and dissect it and say, well, this is what you have to do, but I do think it's every moment is precious right now, and it's just those little details. And you can flip it and put it on the other side of the field as well and attack. It's all over the field. Just those little details become that much more important because everything is magnified at this point of the season.
Yeah. Well, yes, that we acknowledge that there's the lack of shutouts on the Rapids side, but at least in terms of there's moments that I would see, particularly in the first half from the Rapids, when we talked about a very stubborn FC Dallas kind of defense in terms of how they set up 3-5-2. But in some of those positive moments where they were the Rapids were able to kind of break or find opportunities is when they were moving and grooving with that ball. Like they weren't, granted, you want to try to move the ball a little bit to see if you can find spaces, find an opportunity to break the lines. But there's some good interplay. There was one moment between Calvin and Paxton, right? Paxton with a little moment, although it didn't entirely come off, but moments like that where the Rapids were moving and grooving very quickly and were able to kind of squeeze through what was a very stubborn FC Dallas defense. But again, we talked about Dallas. We knew that, or at least expected that they were going to set up like this with a 3-5-2, be stubborn defensively, and if they get opportunities, go, because they don't have someone like Lucho Acosta, but they know what they're about. They have an identity, and it played to their fruition. It played to their benefit on the night with that 3-1 win against the Rapids. So, but even again with all that, like you do see the moments where the Rapids are capable, whether it's in transition or even if they're in possession, and quick interplay in the middle of a very stingy defense and midfield that Dallas had set up, which I think we might expect this weekend as well. We'll get into that a little bit, but there are moments that I see from the Rapids that do provide me a lot of faith and a lot of, are very encouraging to see, regardless of what type of opposition, what type of setup the Rapids find themselves against.
Absolutely, and yeah, credit to Dallas. But that is a team that where we are in the standings, like, who knows, maybe we finish 8-9 with them and we play them. And I still think we set up well against them. And there were some good moments in attack and some good, spells, of possession and interchanges and stuff. And I was, delighted to see Josh Atencio, back on the field as a substitute. I think we've really missed him and his physical output in games is flies under the radar. The amount of ground that he covers, the spaces that he gets into, he's quality on the ball. He's able to provide not just good spells of possession, but he can see a really good pass and has the quality to make line breaking passes, but just his presence, the defensive side of the ball, again, the amount of ground that he covers and the way he's able to break up plays. He's somebody that we've missed, and it was great to see him back on the field.
It was very, very good to see him back. I really like Josh personally. Yeah. I've gone on the record of calling him kind of comparing him to Declan Rice a little bit, again, between his physical profile, the way he covers ground, but also that he's just good on the ball and clogs up space. Like, I really like Josh.
Yeah, we'll lead him down the stretch.
Yeah. I mean,
he's going to be a big
just
influence.
Having bodies, having everybody available,
sure.
Especially someone like that, like Josh coming back into the fold, like is very nice. He got hurt at the Philly match. Mm-hmm. That was on July 26th, so we haven't been able to see Josh since then. But nice to see him recover, get his first minutes back since then, and like you said, important to have everybody available as it's the last 3 games now of the regular season. Everybody's trying to figure out their playoff fate. The Rapids is very much in the thick of it right now. So. I think that'll do it for that recap, Drew. We can, it's acknowledge kind of what didn't go well, recognize some of the things you did right to kind of carry that forward.
Yeah.
But, at least you have a game here at home coming up. We'll get into that a little bit, but that's the very encouraging thing, is to be able to play in front of your fans, as you're trying to fight for every point possible, right? Yeah. And it's these matches are basically playoff matches. Even though we're still in the regular season, you have to treat these basically like playoff matches.
And I think actually Eric Quill told his team couple weeks ago, FC Dallas, that we're in the playoffs already. Not actually in the playoffs, but we have to treat these games as if they're playoff games, And I do think Minnesota will be a team this weekend that is similar to Dallas. And so this was a good little kind of litmus test, not litmus test, but just, run through of what we could see at home here on Saturday night.
For sure.
As well.
For sure. All right. We'll put a cap on that. But actually, there was one thing I forgot to mention off the top in terms of the podcast. So the Lariat Lodge podcast that we're going to do. So we did it last year, which was a lot of fun. Yeah. It was a lot of fun to have like just the live environment and have everybody kind of tuned in. So we were very appreciative of everybody who showed up and was just kind of willing participants in it as well. That was a lot of fun. We're doing it again. So nice. We're going to do it twice. So the Lariat Lodge podcast, that's going to happen on Monday, October 6th. The doors open at 5:30, so everybody can come in, get settled, get your beverages, get your food, get what you need before we kick off the podcast itself. Recording that at 6 p.m. And for guests, can you guess who, Drew?
The Basset Hounds.
Yeah, man. The Basset
How
Hounds.
did I know? Yeah. Wow.
So we have both Cole and Sam Bassett as our guests on the podcast. So that way it's not as boring with just myself and Drew on there. You guys have the Bassett brothers there. If you guys are able to show up to the Lariat Lodge podcast, again, on Monday, October 6th, 6 p.m. is when we start recording the podcast. 5:30, doors open. So
I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
Lariat Lodge is awesome. Good food, good beers.
Yes, good place, good environment. Just the pod itself was, again, like just the whole live environment with like having an audience behind it all was a lot of fun. Like I was thrilled with how last year went. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it again. In just a few weeks' time, we'll certainly be there. So we'd love to see you guys out there. So please be sure to just show up. Just let you show up. That's really it. Yeah, and just be ready to have a good time. That's basically it.
Show up, we'll take care of the rest.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll be looking forward to seeing everybody at Lariat Lodge on Monday, October 6th. All right, and we're going off the pitch with defender Andreas Maxsø. Max, good to see you, man. Welcome to the podcast. Glad to have you with us.
Thank you very much, guys.
So, Max, to kick things off here, I wanted to talk a little bit about you specifically with your leadership style. This is a position of being a leader in a group, in a locker room that's not unfamiliar to you, right? But speaking to this group specifically here at the Colorado Rapids, you're a defensive leader. You're a leader in general. You've worn the captain's armband just to be able to lead this group throughout a good portion of the season. How would you describe your leadership style in general?
Yeah, first of all, I think it's important to say that Keegan is obviously the main leader. He's the captain, and Yeah, I mean, I think I'm a leader by example. I do work hard in the daily work, and I do my stuff. Drew also know we work a lot. Um, but yeah, I just think there's a lot of leaders on the team, and I think we're doing great. Yeah, all of us, and I think it's easier when there is a lot of leaders. And to be honest, I just try to be myself and help the team as much as possible.
Max, I want to ask you about some of the new faces. Obviously, we just got out of the transfer window and brought in some important players and Noah Cobb, Rob Holding, Rafa Santos, a couple defensive players, and then, of course, Paxton Aronson and Alexis Manyoma. What have you seen from the new players, from their play and just kind of the energies that they've brought as well?
Yeah, I mean, if we start with the defensive players, Rob and Noah, they brought a lot of energy. Um, yeah, obviously Rob is very experienced player and is really calm, and Noah is yeah, the hardworking guy, young guy, and has been doing really well. Also the minutes he got, and yeah, half at the same. Obviously, it's always a little bit difficult with the relations when it's that late in the season. But I think people have been, yeah, doing great. Same with Manyoma also. The few minutes he got, and obviously Paxton, he is yeah, a player with huge potential, and we can see it already. So I think for the future it will be very good.
Yeah, I feel like those, all five of them have brought some good energy as well. Obviously, a lot of quality, but at this time of year, sometimes new faces, new voices, new energy is a good thing. And I actually want to ask you specifically about Rob Holding. I know you gave a little bit on him, but just kind of y'all's relationship and partnership. You've played now, started 3 games together. Things seem to be pretty organized with you two. How has that relationship been in just kind of a short amount of time?
No, it has been good. I think that obviously we want to concede less goals, of course, but he's an experienced player. So I think we are quite similar in the way we play also, and we are good at organizing the stuff around us. And yeah, and then he's just a very good player, calm with the ball and good at taking the right positions when we are defending. So hopefully the next, yeah, 3 games it will be even better.
Max, we're now moving into, or we have been really in this final stretch of the season where every single point matters rather, as the Rapids are looking for a playoff spot in 2025. What's been the mindset of the group as they're entering this incredibly important stretch of the season?
Yeah, but first of all, we can only focus on ourselves and do our job, and we can work on the things we need to improve every day, and that's our mindset. We don't focus on all the other teams. I think also that's, yeah, the right way to do it, and take one day at a time. And we are happy. We have 2 home games also out of the 3 games. It's really important. I think we're really strong at home, and the teams we're gonna play against, they will see it obviously, and we have a lot of energy, a lot of optimism for the next 3 games, and we want to go to the playoffs for sure.
I think it's a good mentality to have, Max. Obviously, you got to focus on yourself first and foremost. But I do want to ask you about Minnesota because they are the team that's next on the schedule, and they play not necessarily different than everybody else, but it is a little bit of a different style where they just want you to have the ball and they want to pick the ball up in transition and just go. I mean, they're okay with having just 25-30% possession. I thought we did a really good job against them in Minnesota, just over a month ago. How do you prepare for a team that is so comfortable not having the ball and trying to hit you in transition? Obviously, as a center back, how do you prepare for that?
But first of all, it's very important we take the right decisions with the ball. We you can say we had a good training session in Dallas this weekend. especially in second half, they were also low. And unfortunately, I think we gave the ball away on difficult spots, and they got the transitions they wanted. And it's going to be the same picture this game. So we have to take care of the ball and take the right decisions and finish the attacks. So if we don't score, we finish the attacks and we can go back and let them come. So I mean, first of all, just be patient with the ball. Try to don't lose the ball at difficult spots, and again, be very ready for the rest defense, because they have some pretty good guys up in front.
For sure. I appreciate it, Max. I know you've had another fantastic season. It's been fun to watch you. It's been fun to work with you a little bit. I want to shift a little bit to a fun question. Not that the other ones weren't fun, obviously, but you're a big hockey guy, and I know you have a team in Denmark that you have a lot of interest in that I don't know if people are aware of. And obviously the NHL is starting right around the corner. I saw you on Friday watching your hockey team. Tell us a little bit about how it's going, where you guys are in the season. I know it's early, but how's your hockey team doing?
To be honest, we had an okay start. We have after I think it's 4 or 5 games, we have 7 points. So it's really nice. But yeah, it's funny. It's my hometown club, and my brother was playing before he stopped a few years ago. But then I had the opportunity with 6 other guys to buy the club, and it's just really funny also to give something back to the city where I'm from, and hopefully we can develop the club so it can be even more financially sustainable. That's the goal. So hopefully in the future we can be in the top of Danish ice hockey.
That's awesome. What is the name of the club? Let us know, because we want some Rapids fans to become supporters.
So my home city is called Rødovre. I know it's difficult, but it's so the club's name is Rødovre Mighty Bulls.
The Mighty Bulls.
The Mighty Bulls, yes.
Okay, I like it. We'll try to put the name down underneath, because I'm not going to try to spell out or say it.
That would be nice. I think that would be a good help.
Awesome, Max. Well, listen, Max, we appreciate you taking the time. I know, especially on a day off, you guys trying to rest up and get ready for again, what is going to be an upcoming difficult match against Minnesota. So appreciate the time, Max, and thanks for being on the podcast with us, man.
Of course. Thank you, guys.
All right, Drew, let's go into Around MLS. Keep tabs on what's going on around the league with a few matches that were of note to us. So before we get into the few matches that we had here in terms of where the Rapids sit, in terms of standings and points and all that, they're currently in 8th place. And this is after, again, the Dallas match from this past weekend. So the Rapids are currently 8th place. 5 points separate 8th through 12th in the West. These next 3 weeks are going to be bonkers in terms of how things can play out, of who makes the playoffs and who doesn't, Drew. And again, the Rapids being in the thick of it. Every point is gold at this point, really, with that being the context of everything there. So let's get into a couple matches here that we were keeping tabs on a little bit, Drew. So LAFC versus RSL, which happened last night on Sunday for Sunday Night Soccer, one of the 2 matches for Sunday Night Soccer. We had mentioned it before, where RSL and LAFC, they played each other twice last week. Yeah. This is LAFC making up some of the matches in hand, the games in hand that they had from playing in the Club World Cup this summer. So on Wednesday, the first match was in Salt Lake. That was a 4-1 LAFC win, and Heung-min Son had a hat trick. Go figure. Sunday, 4-1 LAFC win in LA this time. Buang a hat trick. So RSL, they dropped to 12th with those couple results, without able to take advantage of some of the games in hand they had there, on 34 points. But they still have 1 match on hand on the Rapids. So I think that's one of those where, like, I think the Rapids, it could come down to literally the very last day, decision day, to see if they're going to make the playoffs. RSL, I think, in the same situation. So it was a goal fest for LAFC last week, Drew. My goodness.
How fun would it be, though, if I don't want to look past Minnesota, but when we do go to Salt Lake City here in a couple weeks, if we have an opportunity to put them to not just win Rocky Mountain Cup, but to put them out. But
Nice.
that'd
be nice.
I did say we're going to be LAFC fans this week, and no offense, Salt Lake. I know you're going to take offense. You take offense when we breathe. But LAFC got helped us out a little bit, which I'm not going to complain about. We have them on the schedule in the very near future as well. So. Salt Lake, they still have a match in hand. I'm not even sure when that match is played, but thank you to LAFC for a couple hat tricks there. I mean, my goodness, 8-2 aggregate.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think Bouanga did get one in the midweek match at RSL, and then he gets the hat trick there, so that kind of put him in the Golden Boot race, much in a much more relevant place in the Golden Boot race. Him in the group kind of making a good case.
I believe also Bouanga. First player to have 20 plus goals in three consecutive seasons,
which is that's impressive, man. Like you gotta
this has been a quiet season for him, and he's still scoring.
It has been quote unquote quiet, but
22 he's got 22 plus goals.
Sorry, we're getting a note from production. Right? 22 goals. He's got 22 goals, and he's still probably going to get after it still with the three. That's the thing. LAFC has at least 4 matches remaining, I think. So there's still
one of the games he's not going to score in. I know that.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully. So Drew alluding to the decision day match that the Rapids have welcoming LAFC here. So that's on decision day. Mm-hmm. Big match. I always remember 2021, the last time we had LAFC here on decision day. Yeah. We'll see if it plays out the same way. So LAFC did help the Rapids in that sense in terms of forcing RSL to drop some points there. Moving on to the next match, which is San Jose versus St. Louis. St. Louis, I think they're officially out of the playoff contention.
Yeah.
So not much to play for, but as we've talked about before, that not necessarily the case. You have players who are trying to earn minutes. Confidence from the new manager or from whoever the next. Everybody's playing for something in some way, shape, or form. They go to San Jose and get a 3-1 result, which I would say this is another result that favors the Rapids in terms of trying to be in the hunt for playoffs. 3 first-half goals from St. Louis, all 3 of the goals that they scored on the night. San Jose, 1 goal on 5 expected goals. Drew, we know this is a San Jose side that is capable of getting into goal-scoring positions. Clearly, they can score goals, but it just felt like one of those nights where it just wasn't happening for them.
I mean, I don't even know with San Jose. They've got really good attacking players, and we said from the beginning of the season, are they going to be able to stop enough goals being conceded? And I just, I don't think they've been able to. And they might be the highest expected goals team
they have
in the league, but they concede too many goals. And after the Rapids game, and a little bit of a long day on Saturday, other than my older kid just being in bed all day. I fell asleep, but before I did, I checked the score. It was already 2-0 St. Louis, and he's just like, oh, okay, San Jose. I was excited, obviously, but they're still a team that could go and win their final 3 matches because they have the firepower to do it. But things are not trending in that direction for them right now. They've been a very up and down team, so who knows? Who knows from them? Yeah. But St. Louis helped us out a little bit on Saturday night as well.
That's another helpful result for the Rapids. San Jose with that result against St. Louis that drops them to 11th on 35 points. So again, that's
still right behind us. So
they're there. They're still there, but they're going to have to trend in a different direction than they have been lately. Then last one, Drew. Last match we were looking at. This is another one that kind of has some implications as well for Rapids trying to make the playoffs. Is Houston versus Portland. Houston got a 1-0 win on the night versus the Timbers. Ezequiel Ponce looks like seeing that goal. Portland opted not to defend on that one, but I digress. Houston, they dominate possession as you can kind of expect, especially against Portland, who doesn't mind sitting and going in transition. That's what they're known for, and chance creation as well. So this is another result, another match that plays a role into the Rapids potentially making the playoffs here in 2025.
Yeah, I was kind of torn about this one. It's like, do you want Houston to win because it moves them a little bit closer to us, but also Portland's just 2 points in front of us. I think
they're not far. They've dropped off lately, Drew.
They have, yeah. They're within striking distance, and so it's almost like, hey, do you want to tie? And this is one of those. And listen, when I talk about being fans of other teams, and this is just me and Mike wanting the Rapids to finish as high as possible, we have to take care of our business on the field first and foremost if we want a shot, because there's 4 teams within just a handful of points of us that are looking to make the playoffs as well. And so that result I guess it's good because it allows us to possibly catch Portland. But all this is, as you said, it's going to shift so much even in just the last 3 or 4 weeks of the season. But it's fun to kind of speculate and talk about.
Yeah. For us, it'll be kind of stressful. But if you're a neutral, like just an MLS neutral, this will be very fun to tune into.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to be stressing.
You? No, that doesn't sound like you. Just drink coffee.
That's not going to help. All right, so that'll do it for Around MLS, Drew. Just again, those are matches kind of consequence in terms of what it means for the Rapids to try to make the playoffs again. They're right in the thick of that race for between 8th and 9th and all the way down to 12th.
It's fun.
It's what, like, as a neutral, it's fun. Like I said, I'm just going to be stressing the rest of the season. So moving ahead now, Drew, to the upcoming match for the Colorado Rapids. Like I mentioned, they're going to be back home here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park against Minnesota United. Very tough matchup.
It is.
Very tough matchup. So that match is happening, like I said, here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park, Saturday, September 27th, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time kickoff. Make sure you get your tickets. I always tell you, everybody here, like our viewers and listeners, just come to the stadium, man. I've always preferred the in-stadium, in-person experience to get to watch your Burgundy Boys in person. If you want to, you can watch it on MLS Season Pass. But it's nice to be in the stadium and watch your Burgundy Boys in person here in the stadium. And then, of course, it's Noche Latina.
Noche Latina.
So it'll be a fun night. It's just going to be a fun night overall. Hopefully, we can tack on 3 points onto that as well. Look at Minnesota, Drew. So they're 3-1-1 in their last 5 matches since the Rapids went and got that win at Minnesota United, which is very great win, by the way. It was a big win. In their last 3 matches, specifically, Drew, so they're 1-1-1. So they got a 1-1 draw versus Portland, that impressive 3-1 win at San Diego. And this one, I think it was like a dagger to the heart for them, especially after the midweek loss, the Open Cup loss, semifinal loss on top of that. 3-0 loss to Chicago. Granted, they did rotate their squad on Saturday to give those guys that midweek a rest. It doesn't change the fact that you took a 3-0 loss at home. So they best believe they're going to come in here hungry.
For sure.
Looking for a result. Let's go into team comparison, Drew, between the two sides, between Minnesota and the Rapids. In terms of records, Colorado, they're 11-14-6. Minnesota are 15-7-9. In terms of points, Colorado have 39. Minnesota have 54. Goals scored, Colorado have 41. Minnesota 51. Goals against, Colorado have conceded 52. Minnesota, very stingy, 36 conceded on the season. And then average possession, this is a doozy. So the Rapids have 44.6% of the average possession on the 2025 season. Minnesota, 38.8% average possession in 2025, Drew. Like, this is no surprise, but it's just wild to see that number. So
it's incredible.
It's crazy. So as we alluded to just a little bit earlier, the last time that these two sides faced each other was in Minnesota. 2-1 Rapids win on the road back in August 10th. Darren Yappy brace on the night. And in terms of personnel, that Minnesota, that it's if it's not the biggest piece, it's very much one of the biggest pieces that they lost. In that they transferred Tani Oloa-Shea, the Canadian men's national team forward, to Villarreal. Good for him, because that's actually a really cool club to actually go to and earn an opportunity to play in La Liga. That's such a big club. So they lose him to a transfer. However, in terms of an injury, which we don't know anything for the record, or don't know what the news or the injury exactly is with Kelvin Yeboah, their DP forward. Midweek he had to step out in Open Cup in that semifinal against Austin with an injury. I'd imagine he wouldn't make it for this match, and from what we've been hearing at least, but again, we don't know anything, potentially out for the rest of the season. Yeah. So that's going to put a real damper on things for Minnesota in terms of how they go about their business. I mean, losing that level of quality with someone like Kelvin Yeboah.
It's a lot of goals lost.
Yes.
And along with Oloa-Shea, that's a lot of goals lost.
Yes. So Minnesota does have their work cut out for them in terms of losing quality of that level between one with the transfer and one with potential for the rest of the season through injury. So, yeah, Drew, this is we just kind of been saying it as we're going through the team comparison with records and possession in particular. This is a Minnesota side, I would say, that you know exactly what you're going to get out of them.
Yeah.
It's a different story to try to get past what is a very stingy defense and then defending against a very good transitional team. It's a tall test for the Rapids on Saturday.
It is. Minnesota have an identity. We just talked about Dallas having an identity, the Rapids having an identity. Minnesota have an identity regardless of who's on the field, that we know exactly how they're going to play. And they showed that when we were there just over a month ago in Minnesota, right? And even though Oloa-Shea is gone and Yeboah might miss a bit of time, they're not going to change the way they play because of that, I feel like. And that match proved to me that the Rapids can go and do what they have to do to win games. It was kind of Darren Yappi's coming out party, with his 2 goals. And the efficiency in which we went in attacking transition in that match, especially in the second half, was as good as it's been for the Rapids all season. And so they have a very good blueprint, and then defended extremely well with numbers, with compactness. Almost kind of said, Minnesota, you guys have the ball a little bit. We're going to turn the tables on you a little bit and give you a little bit of possession and see if you can come and break us down, right? Because that's typically what they're doing to other teams. And so the Rapids have a very good blueprint of how to beat Minnesota. They did it at their place just over a month ago, and they're going to have to do it here at home on Saturday night if they want to take all 3 points.
Yeah. I think Minnesota is just like almost like a completely different challenge compared to really almost any other team in the league.
Yeah.
So typically teams, they'll come here and they'll sit regardless of what sort of style of play they have or what their setup is.
Minnesota would do that if they were playing a game on the moon, right? It doesn't matter where they're playing, who they're playing against. That's what they're going to do.
The only thing that would surprise me is that they put everybody on the goal line at this point. Because, but listen, like we can kind of poke fun at what they do, but they've gotten results. Like you look at where they are in the standings, man. They've been public about it in terms of they know exactly who they are, they know what they're good at, and they've taken full advantage of that to find themselves as high as they are in the standings in the West, and even almost. Outside of that loss that they had against Chicago, they were kind of relevant in the Supporters' Shield race as well for to a certain extent. So this is the type of team that we're talking about. Even if you lose Tani Aloache, even if you are missing Kelvin Yeboah for a good while, this is a very difficult side to play against because they're stubborn defensively, but they are killers going the other way in transition.
Yeah.
So this is a very difficult matchup. Even if the Rapids get to play here at home at altitude at Dick's Sporting Goods Park, the work is cut out for them against this Minnesota United side. So we did mention a couple guys that are missing. One, like we said, Tani Aloache was transferred to Villarreal, and Kelvin Yeboah highly likely would not be here this weekend at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. So who's a player on the Minnesota side of things that you're looking out and keeping tabs on, Drew?
Because I think Minnesota will still maintain, even without those players, their identity. It's going to be Bongi Hlongwane, who plays on the right side. He plays kind of as a wing back, but he's very much an attacking player that they involve in their transition, and he's a big influence in the way they attack. I could think, is it Joaquin Pereira? Is it Robin Lud? Because those are kind of the string pullers, right? But for me, it's still the pace and directness of Hlongwane. Just his ability to fly up and down that right side. I still think they're going to really rely heavily on him. We don't know who's going to play as the 9. Is it Mamadou Dieng, who came over from Hartford Athletic recently and started, in their match against Chicago. But I still think they're going to look to sit in, and then hit on the attack. And Hlongwane is going to be extremely influential in their ability to do that. And so for me, he's the one that you really have to keep an eye on, and whoever's playing that left back position, whether it's Sam Vines or Rafa Santos, your rest defense on Hlongwane is going to be massive for me in this match, Mike.
I agree with that. Yeah, like although he hasn't been as influential and found like the greatest run of form here in 2025, like. It's Bongi Hlongwane. I think he's kind of a known quantity in the league in terms of what he's capable of doing. So I wouldn't say his form or any injuries or anything that's kind of hampered him this season really kind of take away from the fact that he's just a dangerous player, man. Like, so I think that's a good shout because he's very influential for Minnesota when he's really on it.
He is.
So definitely someone to keep tabs on. On the flip side.
Yep.
I say someone for the Rapids that I want to
Someones?
keep tabs on. It's a bunch of someones. It's going to be the whole group. Drew.
Yeah.
Whoever's going to be out there on the pitch, whether it's your starting 11 or whoever comes in off the bench, and it's going to be on everybody. I think the entire Rapids side to really step up in this match. You're coming off a loss at Dallas where you weren't maybe too pleased with that performance, outside of just the loss itself, and you're looking to bounce back at home in front of your home crowd against a very difficult Minnesota United side to play against, where every point matters because you're trying to find your spot in the playoffs. So whether you're an attacking player who's in possession, who needs to take care of the ball, make the possession count in terms of creating coincidences, as we talk about, create dangerous opportunities, put Minnesota defenders, whether probably 5-4-1 is what you'd expect out of them. So Minnesota defenders, putting them in very difficult positions, awkward positions to try to defend certain balls. Rafa Santos crosses from, be it deep in the corner and half spaces, or quick interplay among some of the wingers and midfielders and forwards. Like, if it's on them, if it's the defenders, right, being mindful, the rest defense, that's going to be so key, I think, in this match, because of how quick Minnesota United players can go in transition. It's what they've been doing all year. It's where they found success. I think it's just incumbent on every single player on the field, like I said, be it the starting 11 or any other subs that come on throughout the match, everybody's going to have to be absolutely on it against this Minnesota United side, because they can punish you if you're not mindful of what they do. We know what they can do. It's another thing to go out and execute and try to combat what they try to do. And
I think that's the biggest thing, Mike. And it's funny that, player to watch, all 11, it's a good shout, because this is the time of year, and I'm gonna take it straight into our keys, right? And like I said earlier, like, tactics are very important. They're still the blueprint, right? But they're only going to take you so far this time of year. They really are. And both of our keys are kind of intangibles, kind of like your player to watch is kind of an intangible, selecting every player that's going to step out onto the field for the Rapids. But your tactics, your X's and O's are only going to take you so far this time of year. And so, my key to the match, piggybacking off of all 11 players that are on the field, it could be, 16 players used, or more, is you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable against Minnesota United, right? Just because of the way they play. And again, it's not like some, tactic that nobody's ever heard of, where you defend, and just, give the other team the ball and then try to hit in transition. But it's what Minnesota are very good at this year. And it reminds me a lot of when Almeida used to coach San Jose Earthquakes, where they would go man for man, literally all over the field. It would be 10 for 10. And you felt uncomfortable for the first 15, 20 minutes of the match. And it can't be like that. You can't take 15, 20, 30 minutes to feel comfortable in a match. You have to go into this Minnesota United match expecting them to do exactly what they do, right? And if you do that, you prepare yourself well mentally and physically, you can go out and get the job done, right? And so my key to the match is just be comfortable feeling uncomfortable with the way they play, right? And I talked to a couple guys after the Minnesota game, back in August, where they were like, it felt kind of weird, they almost like didn't want the ball, and they're just looking for transition and set pieces and stuff. And like, that's okay. That's how you got to feel. That's how it's going to be, So that's my key. I know yours is a more of an intangible one as well.
Yeah. I think intangibles, are the theme here, just because I think the time of the season, the time of year that we find ourselves in, where I'm with you, Drew. We're like, yes, tactics and all that, like, you have to have that as, I would say, as the baseline, as the basis to work off of, but it's not gonna be the replacement for, like, being the first one to second balls or winning 50-50s or just all these little things that kind of make the difference at this, specifically this time of year, man. This is the time of year where all these little things make even more of a difference, I would say, as to whether you make the playoffs or don't make the playoffs. So in terms of one intangible, my key to the match that I have for this match against Minnesota United is do what you have to do. You had said it earlier against what the Rapids did when they went to Minnesota to get that result, which is a huge win, by the way, and credit to the Rapids for what they did, knowing Minnesota is as stubborn as they are and as dangerous as they are, just kind of like how diametrically opposed they are on either side of the pitch. For the Rapids, even though you're here at home in front of your crowd and in the confines of Dick's Sporting Goods Park, again, this is Minnesota United, a very different challenge to any other team, I would say, in this league. Do what you have to do. Do what you have to do in terms of just be scrappy, fight for balls, and if you find yourselves in those situations, quickly take advantage of them to go the other way, because Minnesota's going to do that, because they're going to find moments to try to take advantage of finding some sort of opportunity on goal. This is exactly what they do. So if you're the Rapids, any opportunity you find, just take advantage of it, of 50-50 balls, of goal scoring chances, of putting their defenders or just their back line in general in awkward positions to force coincidences. Just do what you have to do. I think it just comes down to really the grind, as kind of like cheesy or corny that might sound, but like, you just gotta grind it out, man. I think this is the time of year where every single thing matters. Like, one tackle can be the difference between you going in transition and scoring, or the other team doing that, right? Like these are the things that we're talking about that make one hell of a difference for your playoff fate. So it's there's everything to play for, Drew. Absolutely everything to play for.
There is. It's time to lock in, and I don't like to talk a lot about myself and my past,
I do.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Successes and failures, right? Because there's plenty of both. But this was always the time of year on the teams that that were successful that I was on. Man, like, you have to stay in the moment. You live in the moment. You attack every single moment as if it's going to be your last. Again, as cheesy and as corny as it might sound. But if you go in there with your with your blueprint, but you go and just you're locked in, and you're locked in for 90 plus minutes, and you're ready for every single play, and you put everything you have into every single moment, you're going to give yourself a good opportunity. And that is something that you can ride throughout the last 3 games of the season and all the way through the playoffs, however far you get to go, and there's some X's and O's, but man, it's just going and locking in on the details and locking in on the moments, because there's only so many of them left at this point. If you want to have success, every single player through the squad is going to have to just stay locked in for every single moment. You've battled since January. You started this journey in January. You have a feel, you have an identity, you know who you are, you know what you can do. Now go out and just go out and do it, and it seems very easy, again, for me to just sit here and say that, but it's the truth. Go in, lock in, and get everything you got.
I mean, you won 2 MLS Cups, so I like that speak for itself.
I appreciate it.
So yeah, like that's speaking to that experience, man. Like, exactly what you're talking about, and hopefully that's something the Rapids can make note of, as not just defenders, but just I think just the group in general. Because like we said over and over and over and over again, is like this is the time of year where every single thing matters, every tackle, every point, everything matters.
Yep.
By the way, I like the little Matias Almeida shout out there. This is MLS heritage right here, man.
Yeah.
Like, just like quick little shout
It
outs.
Doesn't feel that long ago to me, but I'm sure
it doesn't to me either, dude. I remember like those San Jose sides under him were chaotic.
They were, man. It's so difficult to play against. It was like, what are you guys doing? But they found a little bit of success doing it.
He's in Sevilla. He's coaching Sevilla, which I didn't realize until not too long ago.
He won the CONCACAF Champions League.
With Chivas. That was against you.
Yeah.
So, you brought it up. I didn't bring it up.
Yeah.
So.
It's also the first day of fall. Like I believe today is. I think it is the fall equinox, right? Like look,
it's nice and kind of.
Trees are changing colors and stuff. Somebody's got a sweater on out there. Like it's so nice. Oh, okay, well, I'm getting the wrap.
We're getting the wrap, as in like wrap literally right now, because Rich is tired of hearing Drew talking about the weather
sweaters
and the fall, and like the leaves are changing colors.
And we're still doing it, and he's still rolling his eyes back there.
Oh, I know production loves us when we carry these conversations on for 20 minutes. All right, so let's put a capper on that then. So very quickly, in terms of a reminder for this match between the Rapids and Minnesota, that's happening this Saturday, September 27th, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time kickoff here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Of course, you can grab your tickets and join Drew. Connor, you're going to be with Connor Cape on Out of Bounds. Join all of us here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park on Saturday. I suppose you can watch an MLS season pass, but just come to the stadium, guys. So, and then, like we said, Noche Latina on the night. So between Noche Latina, hopefully a good crowd coming out tonight, or on Saturday night rather, and then we can add hopefully 3 points to that. Which, like we said,
all 3 of them.
Like we said, every single point matters, especially with where the playoffs, the Rapids find themselves right now in terms of being in the playoff hunt with a few teams down there, all fighting for a playoff spot, even if it's 8 or 9. Everybody's fighting for a spot. So. I think that'll do it, no? Well, I would ask.
Rich is going to yell at us.
He's already telling us to wrap as of like 20 minutes ago. So that'll do it for this episode of the Colorado Rapids podcast. My thanks to our production crew, Rich and Miles, and of course, our resident Rapids legend and my good friend, Drew Moore. I've been your host, Mike Ravolo. That's going to do it for this episode. Everybody have a good week, and hopefully we'll see you on Saturday for the Minnesota United match.